Tonight, a famous U of H alum is speaking out about losing his son to suicide. Leroy Burrell is the former track coach at U of H, an Olympic gold medalist and once considered the world's fastest man. He talks about the pressures his son Cameron Burrell was facing and how this tragedy has changed the way he coaches young athletes.
I just like to think about, some of the things that, he did when he was, when he was a baby. Just always active, real busy, a great imitator.
Cameron Burrell was the oldest of three boys who went from being an active, busy child to one of the nation's best sprinters, just like his dad, Leroy, and his mom, Michelle, who both won gold at the '92 Olympics. Cameron was even coached by his dad at U of H, where he was the NCAA 100-meter champion in 2018 and had a brighter future. But by the summer of 2021, Leroy says he and his wife could sense their son was struggling, telling his mother he was tired and had had it with the sport. Leroy called it a perfect storm of COVID, which kept Cameron from training properly for the Olympics. Isolation, injuries, and perhaps the weight of expectations.
And it used to be Cameron Burrell, Leroy Burrell's son, or Cameron Burrell's son of Leroy and Michelle Burrell. And I used to cringe, just like, give him his own due, because he earned it.
A desire to live up to the family legacy, Leroy says, meant Cameron expected to win Olympic gold in his mid-20s. Like his parents.
My timeline was my timeline, and his, was his. But I think in the process, that timeline was imposed on him, and I think that was a lot of pressure.
Pressure amplified by injuries, which meant he wasn't always at his best.
And if you miss the mark a couple of times, the pressure is actually multiplied, because this is your living. And I think he was facing that more often than I think someone his age should.
August 9th, 2021. Leroy and Michelle Burrell get a phone call from their middle son saying Cameron had been shot.
And we got in the car and we were just thinking, please let him be okay. Please let him be okay.
He was not. Cameron Burrell died by suicide at the age of 26.
I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it.
Overcome by disbelief, grief, and guilt.
What kept coming to my mind is, where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong?
In hindsight, Leroy now realizes his perception of mental health was shaped by growing up in the '70s, a time, he says, when mental health struggles were seen as a sign of weakness.
And I used to always think, athletes, you don't have time for that. You gotta keep it together. That's what we do. That's part of the job.
Have you changed your opinion
absolutely.
about that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
How has that changed the way you coach now?
Well, I try to be a lot more sensitive to those issues. I ask people how they are now, a lot more.
And he says the loss has taught him lessons about what it means to be successful. To other parents, he has this message. Think twice about pushing your kids to be great at everything.
And it's almost like if you don't reach that pinnacle, then there's almost like a feeling of failure. I think we need to teach kids, how to manage and judge their success individually.
Leroy has a lot more to say about his journey. Watch the entire interview on KHOU 11 Plus on Roku and FireTV.